Guys, you can't negotiate with the mob. You can't compromise with the mob. You cannot kowtow to the mob and expect them to show any mercy. The feminist mob essentially has one goal, and that is to destroy traditional heterosexuality. It's not unsurprising that the average feminist is a fat and or ugly woman. I'm sorry, it's a fact. People say, oh my god, you're a misogynist. Listen, men are held up to standards of beauty too, aren't they? You don't think men are out there taking steroids? You don't think men are out there injecting synthol? Okay, what's the number one ad you see when you're surfing porn on the internet? Penis enlargement. You don't think men are insecure about their penis size? Isn't that objectification? But you see, historically, women have always gotten first dibs on the right to complain. Men, on the other hand, have to man up. And that's fine. I think men should man up. I think men should become independent. I think men should not whine and make excuses, but instead should become empowered and strong in the face of adversity instead of whining and waiting around for somebody to come save them. But a coffee shop is under fire now. Sort of a little breaking news article. This is in North Carolina, Asheville, North Carolina. A coffee shop owned by two men is under fire now because they, quote, teamed up to share their sexual exploits online through a blog, podcast, and Twitter account. Though the accounts have been taken down, Asheville blog provided archived content from both the misogynistic blog and Twitter account, which operated under the handle @HolisticGame. The degrading content includes tweets that rate women on a number scale. Oh, how evil! Meanwhile, men are trying to fucking increase the number size of their penis inches by fucking doing penis exercises or taking fucking penis pills and shit. But that's not objectification. No. That's just manning up, right? And encourages Twitter followers to be, quote, discriminating. The blog, which also operated under the name Holistic Game, used the tagline, putting the sweet D in the tender V since 2013. In a post titled, quote, a breakdown of all my lays, the writer details his sexual conquests and calls a woman damaged goods. The writer identifies another as a career woman, then adds, so I'd imagine she's single. It is interesting, of course, that for all his so-called sexual conquests and how evil this guy is, for all the sex he got, I doubt that he, A, raped any of these women, B, forced any of them to have sex with him, and thus, C, the truth is that these women wanted it. They wanted his sex. In fact, they wanted him to conquer them sexually, I'm quite sure, because women like to be taken. I mean, we do live in a post-50 Shades of Grey worldwide phenomenon. Women like men who are confident and assertive. It's just a fact. We're talking about straight women, at least. And then, of course, here are a couple tweets from the guys. Scan the room, watch body language and mannerisms, observe friends, and see if any girls truly pique your interest. Be discriminating. I imagine by be discriminating, he doesn't necessarily mean in a racial context. He just means don't be afraid to have standards. Don't be afraid to be like, I don't like that girl, I don't like that girl, I like her. Another tweet from Holistic Game. Nothing like waking up with a cutie, cuddling, then wailing on her with a belt and gagging her with my dick. Push, pull, hashtag dating advice. Well, there's nothing wrong with what he said. I mean, don't we accept people who are into BDSM porn, bondage porn? That is some of the most quote-unquote, misogynistic, violent, aggressive kinds of sex you can ever imagine. But we accept that because as long as it's consensual, it doesn't matter what people do. So, yeah, giving a girl rough sex, did the girl not want it? I'm pretty sure it was consensual. Another tweet, it's so hard to truly believe that there is an endless supply of hot young pussy out there, but it's necessary and true. Again, absolutely nothing wrong with what he's saying. Last I checked, heterosexuality is not a crime between two consenting adults, right? Or did I somehow not keep fully track of the feminist agenda and realize that they completely criminalized heterosexuality? Anyways, the complete cowardly men, sadly, they are cowards. The guys who own the espresso shop, they made the fatal flaw of apologizing for who they are, which never works. So these guys apologize. Since news broke of the owner's vile content online, Rutledge and Owens have both posted apologies online. They made the fatal fucking flaw. Quote, "There are no excuses to be made," Rutledge wrote on Pastebin. Quote, "The way I've been phrased and framed in my private conduct in a sad and tawdry public way is humiliating. There is nothing to do but ask for your forgiveness for any harm I've caused. I'm sorry, folks." Owens wrote on WordPress that he wishes he could, quote, "take it all back." "I love women, I value them," he wrote. "In my experiences with them, they have taught me of kindness, grace, and compassion. Many of my words in the podcast do not reflect that." They're being politically correct, pandering, apologetic cowards. And Roosh V is actually a good example that you should never kowtow to these fucking authoritarian pseudo-victims. Roosh V, you guys may have heard of him. He was in Canada. He wanted to give a basically speech to a group of men, basically just talk about masculine issues, not to talk about rape. Quite the contrary, all Roosh does is talk about consent, how to improve yourself as a man, and what it takes in terms of quote-unquote game in order to consensually seduce a woman. So it's like, yeah, he supports rape, but all he does is try to teach men how to improve themselves so they can win a woman's consent. Right, yeah, okay. It's nonsense. Roosh, intelligently did not kowtow, and he basically stood his ground even though feminists tried to deport him from Canada, shut down his speech, etc. And he ultimately came out victorious, because the only victory, I mean, if you surrender, do you call it victory? No, you failed. There's no victory. The only time you should surrender if you actually did something wrong. These guys didn't do anything wrong. Okay, they're men who go out into the world. They improve themselves. They learn how to seduce women. They bang women. They give women the cock they desire. There's nothing wrong with that. 100% consensual. Nobody is forced to do anything against their will. But unsurprisingly, the only people protesting, look at the first picture in this article. Always the fat, ugly, feminist pieces of crap. Fat and or ugly feminist pieces of crap who are basically jealous if they're not the ones getting the cock that these guys talked about. I mean, when you see ugly feminists protesting against two men who just had voluntary sex with women, really what these women are projecting here, these feminists, they're projecting their envy. I mean, look at them. Short hair, fat, atrocious. You know, you don't want to judge women so harshly, but when you're just angry and jealous that you're not getting the cock that your hotter female counterparts are getting, then you're not really a victim. You're not really fighting for justice. You're just fucking jealous. You're not fighting for justice. You're fighting for jealousy. So, you know, these guys made the fatal flaw. They apologize. You never kowtow. You never back down. You have to stand strong in the face of these authoritarian pseudo-victims and make sure that you never back down, because who's gonna come to your back if you won't even defend your own self? Maybe if you guys would have stood strong, there'd be a group of normal, sane people out there defending you against the feminist, mentally disturbed mob.
That's not very traditional, and you know, I think that a man should really pay for the first date.
Fuck that. We're splitting the bill.